Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Broyans Farm. Right now, Mom's in the process of getting a load together to take out to the market. And as you can see, it's mostly hanging baskets. And a couple flats. Except right now she's getting some geraniums together. The red and like the salmon, I think it's called. Today's Friday. Saturday and Sunday are not looking very good. Looking like rain all day long. So as of now, it's not looking like we're gonna make it to the Sailorsburg flea market this weekend. Which is really a shame because we had a lot of customers looking forward to us coming this weekend, and we have a lot of product in our greenhouses we wanna get moved. Hi, Dace. Frank's back here in the high tunnel again. What we're doing today is cutting our holes for the tomatoes. We have 4 rows. You can see he's got X's here, 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 and now he's on to the last row, or actually just about done with the last row. And I had this idea about 2 years ago, using my little rotary tool with the grinder head on it. It does a nice clean cut, and there's no strings left after you're done. Okay, perfect. And so the tomatoes are going to be spaced every 2 foot. And then we leave a little bit of room here at the end of the high tunnel just so that we can walk around and maneuver a little bit. The wind's really starting to pick up. I think it's gonna rain soon. Just gave the cows some grain. Here they come. Come on. Got your food over here. There's another one. The metal on top of that shed's flapping. A couple years ago, a hard windstorm came through and flipped that whole building upside down. Then we had to get it repaired. Frank just headed out for lunch, so I'm gonna work on getting this drip tape up to the plastic. It's a little bit tricky because since it's buried and the plastic's covering it, we can't really tell where it's at. But luckily, I have these screws. This one is for the center of the row. This one is for my drip tape. So I kind of just go off that and I get really close. So you can see here, just made my first slit. I got that coming out. Got to do it 3 more times. And so right here is my drip. So I'm going to assume that somewhere right around in here is where the drip tape should be. Sometimes I can actually feel it coming out of the ground. Now right here, it's a little bit harder, but I'll find it. So I got my drip tape out. Now what I'm doing is hooking up the drip tape to the nozzle here. And this has like a collar on it. And once I slip the drip tape over top, that knob right there, this will screw down and tighten onto it. That way there is no leak. I like to have a couple inches coming out right there. So I'm thinking something like that should be good. Now I'll take and open that up. Make sure my collar is twisted all the way back. Slip that on there as far as it'll go. And then tighten my collar down. And just like that. Perfect. Those 2 are hooked up. Sadly, I messed up on this one. When we were doing the whole tilling and then laying the drip tape, I was having trouble because this door wasn't attached and I didn't know where exactly my screws were going to be. So now that the fabric is covering everything, I can't see exactly where the drip tape is or where the whole row is. So I kind of eyeballed it, gave it my best guess, and put my screws on there. And turns out I was actually off by about, I don't know, 5 inches. So really, this drip tape was supposed to go right here, but the hole for my tomatoes should have been over this way about 3 or 4 inches. Not going to be that big of a deal. The tomato is still going to get its water. We didn't cut the drip tape when we were cutting our holes, so everything's okay. But now, my header line isn't matching up with my drip tape. So either I'm going to have to move the whole line down, which I don't think is going to work, or take this out and move it over here, and then it will work. Down here at this end, where the drip tape comes out, I also brought these up through the plastic. That way we can make sure we have pressure all the way through each end of the line. And then Frank right now is starting to plant the tomatoes. These are a red deuce. Because I tilled this a while ago and then it got rained on so many times, the soil is a little more compacted than we would probably like to see it. But I didn't get to run the tiller back through here, and so he's just using a little bit of a shovel and digging it and planting the plant. Not too bad. The soil is still kind of fluffy, but it's just more compacted than what it usually is.
That one caved in on me.
That's okay. That's perfect. We'll drop it in there. And you don't want to squish the plant at all. Just let it nice and do its thing. And then fill in the dirt around it, pack it in a little bit. And then once this whole high tunnel is done, I'll come back through with the sprinkling cans and a fertilizer mixture, and I'll fertilize everything. Another nice thing about this high tunnel is we have the heat. So if it does start to get cold, we can turn it on. And these tomatoes will probably catch up to the other high tunnel just because of the cold nights. And they'll be a lot warmer.
In that one.
Just, they might be a little iffy, you mean? Just the plants?
Yeah.
I think they're just fine. I think they look beautiful.
Okay.
If in a couple days, for some reason, something isn't right,
yeah,
we can obviously swap them out, but I think once they get their roots set, they're going to be just fine.
And those, I did the whole,
yeah,
circumference.
Yeah, they're going to be beautiful. And then we'll have to probably do like a big, staking system here.
Yeah, the 2 stake system there that you had.
Frank left. It's getting later in the day, but I wanted to get these plants watered in before the day's over. And so I got my fertilizer solution mixed up, and I am now watering. The ground is kind of dry, and it's not taking water the best. And you'll see here in a minute what I mean. I watered this last plant here a couple minutes ago, and the water is just kind of puddled up. Once the soil gets more wet, it'll take the water better, so we might have to come back through in a couple days and water these plants again. But as of now, at least the main part of the plant will be watered, and then the next time we come through, we should get it all the way to the bottom of the roots, and then they'll really be ready to start growing. So here we are now the next day. Again, kind of gloomy and rainy. I wanted to show you our wagons that we left outside when it frosted. I didn't think they really got damaged, but you can see now that it's showing some signs of it. The cauliflower probably took it the worst. This is the cabbage. Kale probably took it about the second worst. And the the pansies and violas didn't take it really bad at all. You can see a little bit of discoloration, but that could just be from all the nutrients getting washed out with all the rain we've been having. Our field cole crops didn't really take it bad at all. They look just fine. Maybe a little bit here, which is good because they're very important to us. And then the Prince Tuts took it pretty hard as well. So they're gonna come back. Obviously the roots aren't damaged. You can still see right down there at the base of the plant, it's nice and green. We just fertilized it to hopefully bring them back quicker, but it's gonna be a little bit now because instead of them looking like this, nice and healthy, they are burned down pretty hard. Sammy's here with me. The lettuce took it a little bit hard, not bad. You can see a little bit of discoloration on the leaves and some burns. But other than that, they're okay. The red, I don't think took it hard at all. It actually looked like it might have made it even redder. The night that these got frosted, we knew it was gonna get cold. We didn't really expect it to get that cold. Obviously now, if we could go back, we would have put them in like we have the other nights, but that's just a mistake that we've made. We kind of did the same thing last year with our heuchera, and we said we weren't gonna do it again, and now here we are. Not the biggest deal. Everything is gonna come back. It's gonna look beautiful just like it was. it's just gonna take some extra time now. We decided not to go to Saylorsburg, the Blue Ridge Flea Market this weekend. We usually like to go Saturday or Sunday, whatever day is nicer, but because today was actually supposed to be rainy all day and tomorrow was supposed to be even worse on Sunday, we just decided to not go at all. It's not the best thing because we have so much that we want to get rid of, and now it's gonna just have to sit in here for another week, but that's just what has to happen. The vine crops that Sammy and I got planted are really starting to shoot up now. Once we went to market at Hometown, the wind got a hold of them and really made them wilt down. They looked kind of horrible, and now they came right back up and they look just like new again. As you can see, we still have a ton of seedlings that need to get planted, but we just don't have the room right now, so we're trying to just hold them where they're at. We're not fertilizing them at all. The petunias are ready. These tomatoes are very ready, along with the peppers. We have marigolds back along over there. We have impatiens right there, and more of the same thing over here. Basically everything in the greenhouses now are ready to go. We have the New Guinea impatiens over there. We actually had a lot more petunias and a different kind of coleus here that we already sold out of. Over here we have the Sonettis. We had a little bit of a problem with them this year with the leaves wanting to turn yellow, but we got that figured out, and you can see them actually starting to turn back green again, which is what we wanted to see. Hopefully within the next week, they should be dark green, just like they're supposed to be. The Gerbers are in full bloom. Sammy just said how beautiful they are. Mom got some new ones this year with like the white ring around the center. My favorite's probably just the plain white.
Yeah.
What's your favorite, Sammy?
The white. They're absolutely gorgeous.
I was telling Mom we're gonna have to get some more New Guinea impatiens in this color and the 4.5-inch pots next year, just because we already sold out of them. We didn't even take any of these hanging baskets yet, but I can imagine once we take them, they're probably gonna sell out right away. I was wrong, we do have a couple more down here. But this is it, about 10 or 15 pots. Mom's here in number 2, just getting some tomato hanging baskets watered. You can see how big the tomatoes are starting to get on these. That's about as big as they'll get. It won't be long, they're gonna start turning red. I think I mentioned this before, but last year our dahlias did very poor. I don't know if we didn't fertilize them correctly or what happened, but just look at them now this year. They all are beautifully green. The flowers are awesome. We just gotta get to market to sell them now. I'm afraid that they're actually blooming a little bit too much for how fast we can sell them. I'm sure they're gonna lose some of their petals and have to put out some new blooms, but as far as right now goes, I think they're like picture perfect. You've seen in my previous videos, Dad was in the field getting some ground tilled, and that's gonna be for our onions and potatoes and probably oats is what I'm thinking. So I can't wait. All these onions on this whole table and this whole table are gonna be planted within hopefully about a week or 2. We actually had to call a company and order some more sweet Spanish onions just because ours didn't do very good this year. I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure Dad ordered about 5,000 more. A big thing we focused on this year is getting our hanging baskets to be as big and as full and as like cascading as we could possibly get them. And we're in the process of that right now. You can see how this basket is starting to droop down over. I'll pull it down here so you can see it. It's got a lobelia in the center and then the calibracopa around the outside. And probably in about a week after another fertilizing or 2, you won't even get to see the hanging basket no more, which is exactly what we want.
Did I do a good job?
I think so, they're growing.
Well, I hope so.
So now we're in the upper high tunnel. Sammy planted this one, Frank planted the lower one. This one's just bigger. We had a little bit of an issue after we got done planting and laying the fabric because the wind was coming up underneath and it was kind of rubbing against the plants and killing them. So we had to replace like 2 or 3, not that big of a deal. We actually had some boards, right there is one of them, laid just so that the wind wouldn't come up under it and lift the fabric. It's not gonna be too long now. We're gonna have to get the stakes in here and then tie them up because they've already shot out about 2 to 3 new leaves, and now that they're established and the roots are set, they're gonna grow fast. That's what I'm gonna call it a wrap this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember it ain't much, but it's honest work.